Listen close, for in the hollows of Eldridge, where the hills cradled secrets like cradles rock forgotten babes, a fog once rolled thicker than regret, carrying with it the breath of the unrested. Not a storm of shadows or voids, but a living sickness, born from soil soaked in unspoken wrongs. A spectral plague that didn't devour alone, but wove its chill through every hearth and hand. Picture the village, stone cottages huddled against the wind, fields golden under harvest suns, folks bound by blood and barter. Yet beneath the surface, fractures ran deep, feuds over land, whispers of theft, loves lost to envy. The plague arrived not as a curse from afar, but as an awakening of those buried pains, manifesting in pale wisps that clung to the skin, draining life while stirring old wounds to the surface. Eldridge woke to it slowly. First, old Widow Hale, her cough turning to ethereal gasps, visions of her long-dead husband accusing her of neglect. Then the miller, his hands trembling as ghostly fingers pointed to the grain he'd shorted neighbors. The malady spread like shared breath, not through touch, but through the air of unresolved grievances. Each victim seeing apparitions of those they'd wronged, their forms translucent and pleading, siphoning vitality until confession spilled. Panic bloomed, doors barred, families isolated, but isolation only fed the plague. The wisps growing bolder, slipping through cracks to unite in choruses of accusation. The village square, once alive with market chatter, fell silent, save for the moans of the afflicted, their eyes hollowed by relentless hauntings. Amid the fray stood Elowen, the outcast healer, her hut on the fringe where wild herbs tangled like secrets. Shunned for years after a fire some blamed on her youthful experiments with poultices, she watched the village suffer from afar. But as the plague claimed her estranged sister, a vision appeared to Elowen, not of blame, but of unity. Spectral forms linking hands, urging her to gather the broken. "Heal us all," they seemed to plead, not in words, but in the pull of shared memory. Reluctance warred with duty. Elowen had nursed grudges like fragile blooms, but the plague spread threatened to erase the village entirely. With a satchel of roots and blooms, she stepped into the fray, her voice cutting through the fog like a scythe. This sickness thrives on our silences. Face it together or perish apart. The villagers, desperate and diminished, heeded her call. They converged in the old granary, torches sputtering against the encroaching mist. Elowen orchestrated the rite, not with incantations of darkness, but with circles of shared truth, each person voicing their hidden shames, the air thickening with admissions. Farmer Garrick confessed to fencing off communal land. The baker admitted poisoning a rival's dough in jealousy. As words flowed, the spectral wisps materialized, not attacking, but listening, their forms softening from accusatory ghouls to mournful echoes of the past. Elowen's herbs burned in braziers, releasing scents that bound the apparitions, forcing them to absorb the confessions like rain into parched earth. Bonds reformed, hands clasped, tears mingled, and for the first time, Eldridge felt whole, the plague's grip loosening as unity mended the fractures. But redemption, that fickle flame, flickered with hidden barbs. As the rite peaked, the wisps converged into a swirling mass, revealing their origin. Not vengeful spirits, but the collective essence of the village's ancestors, trapped in limbo by generations of unspoken hurts. They had manifested the plague to force this healing, a desperate bid for release. The villagers cheered as the fog lifted, fevers breaking, apparitions dissolving into grateful light. Elowen stood at the center, exalted as the savior who had guided them through. Feasts followed, toasts raised to her name, the outcast now the heart of Eldritch. Yet in the quiet after, as stars pierced the cleared sky, Iloan felt a shift, a warmth spreading from her core, not illness, but inheritance. The twist unveiled in dawn's light. The plague hadn't vanished, it had transferred. To ensure the village's newfound harmony endured, the ancestors chose a guardian, Eloan, the one who had bridged the divides. She became the repository, her body a vessel for the residual echoes, granting her visions of potential fractures to prevent them. But the price was steep. She aged not in years, but in empathy, feeling every budding grudge as a physical ache, her nights haunted by premonitions of betrayals yet to come. The villagers thrived, oblivious, their unity a fragile illusion she maintained alone. Eloan wandered the hills, a spectral warden in living form, her touch now carrying a subtle chill that mended rifts before they widened, but at the cost of her own fading vitality. Seasons turned, and Eldritch prospered. Crops bountiful, feuds forgotten, children born under peaceful skies. Tales spread of the plague's end, crediting Eloan's wisdom. But she grew ethereal, her form translucent in sunlight, her voice a whisper carried on the wind. Villagers sought her counsel, leaving gifts at thresholds she no longer crossed, unaware that her redemption was a twisted eternity. Bound to the land, eternally vigilant, her existence a perpetual atonement for the collective. In rare moments of respite, she glimpsed the ancestors' gratitude, but irony lingered. The plague that united them had isolated her forever, a living myth ensuring peace through personal sacrifice. As years blurred, Eloan's presence became legend, a benevolent specter guiding Eldritch from the shadows. Her interventions subtle, like herbs stirred into communal wells to soothe tempers. The village endured, but whispers of her fate circulated among the wise. Redemption's embrace could bind tighter than any chain, turning saviors into eternal sentinels. And so, in the hollows where it all began, the air still hums with faint echoes, a reminder that healing often demands the healer's soul. Thus wraps our creepy myth of the spectral plague of the Lost Village, a fictional yarn of twisted redemption that lingers in the ties that bind. If this narrative has stirred your sense of community, subscribe to Phantom Myths for more original horrors that resonate through the ages. Like, comment your stories of unlikely unity below, and share if you dare. Until next time, nurture your bonds, for they might save or claim you.